Are you frustrated with the pull that you feel towards certain foods? And although you see yourself as somebody who is disciplined and values eating nutritiously, you still find yourself consuming those foods that you really don't want to. Well, in this video, you're going to learn about 3 key reasons that junk foods, fast foods, processed foods can be so addictive. Welcome to Eat and Live Free. I am Alicia Young, and I'm a nutrition and movement educator. I support individuals with overcoming processed food dependency and emotional eating, along with burnout. On this channel, you'll find nutrition information along with exercises and mindful movement practices and guided meditations. If these are topics you're interested in, remember to click subscribe and to click the bell to be notified of any new videos. So let's start by defining what's meant in this video by the word junk food. So I'm using the word junk food as a catch-all term for junk food, fast food, processed food, ultra-processed food, highly processed food, all of that. These are foods that highly deviate from the natural form that they would be found in nature, or they are Frankenfoods, so foods that were created by humans, and they are actually not actual foods. They're food-like substances or just scientific experiments brought to make us enjoy them and continue to buy them. For the foods that are not complete Frankenfood science experiments, I'm also referring to foods that their proportions between their macronutrients, their fats, carbohydrates, and proteins along with water are highly unproportional from what would naturally be found in nature as well. So a key example is that these include foods that are super duper high in sugar and also salt and fat, or they have been drastically altered from their natural form. I also want to emphasize that in this video, I do not want my tone to come off as being judgmental or pointing fingers. That's not the goal at all. Trust me, these are areas I'm still working on myself, but I also think it's important to not sugarcoat things, and it's important for us to take responsibility, especially as we become informed. So please keep that in mind. With that being said, 3 key reasons that junk foods can be so addictive is that 1, they're designed to be that way. 2, they're not providing nutrients, and so we do not find them satiating. And 3, they're everywhere. They're omnipresent. So easy to gain. Let's start with reason number 1. They're designed to be that way. We need to remember that food is a business. And even though our health and the health of those we love are important to us, that's not necessarily the main priority of companies and businesses whose main goal is to stay profitable. One of their main goals is to have us be delighted by the products that are being created so that we'll keep coming back for more. One way this is done is engineering and manipulating the foods so that they are more attractive to us, whether that be visually when we see them in the way that they're presented, so the colors and the shapes. It also includes the way that they taste, so altering the natural way that the food comes from nature so altering its natural package, shifting the proportions of the nutrients, but also adding things such as additives and things that we do not know what they are, but these things make them delightful to us. They taste delicious, they feel good in our mouth, whether it is soft and fluffy or creamy or crunchy, depending on how we may be feeling and what we may be desiring. This also includes the way that the food is packaged and presented to you. If you look at the packaging that foods come in, the colors, the shapes, the pictures that may be on the packaging, the way that the text looks on the packaging, the claims that may be made. For example, some buzzwords are like all natural or all organic, or just using the word organic, or high in fiber. So a lot of the thought goes into these decisions to encourage us to purchase this product versus another product. This process also works at a brain level because it stimulates the release of a neurotransmitter. So that's a brain chemical, a messenger in the brain that communicates with other parts of the brain and also the rest of the body, which is called dopamine. And dopamine is known for its reward behaviors and the way that it makes us feel good. So it's a feel-good chemical, usually released when we exercise, or helps us to feel very accomplished. It helps us to feel focused and motivated. It also can be stress relieving as well. Over time, that association with certain foods and the release of dopamine continues to be reinforced and over, and then ta-da, there's more of that addictive relationship between that food and your desire for it, whether you really want it or not. This is also emphasized when we turn to food for emotional reasons, but I'm going to address that in a separate video focused on emotional eating. Reason number 2 is that these junk foods are not satiating because they are not nourishing. They don't contain adequate nutrients that are required to sustain our body's functioning. So when you are satiated, it means that you are satisfied. And there are multiple factors that go into this feeling. For example, if you eat more mindfully, so that means really focusing on your meal as opposed to watching TV or trying to do some work or trying to read more of that tantalizing page turner while you're eating. If you're just focusing on eating, whether it's by yourself or in good company where everybody's eating, that helps you to really tune in more closely to your hunger and food cues. So you're less likely to, one, desire foods that, you're not necessarily really enjoying because you're more aware, or you may realize, oh, this food tastes a little bit off. Like maybe this is really tasting really sweet, or maybe it is really salty, or I actually don't like this, it tastes kind of fake to me. You'll be more in tune through mindful eating practices. But a really important one for this video is about actual substances in the foods. So if we were to break down the components of food, we would see macronutrients, so carbohydrates, fats, proteins, and water, and we'd also see micronutrients, so vitamins and minerals. And nature does a beautiful job of packaging these foods into the proportions that are satisfying to our bodies. And there are great ways to choose foods that complement each other in order to support that process as well. This is also important because these nutrients are necessary for the body to function, and they are created in a way that our body can actually take the nutrients and utilize them. But many junk foods lack the nutrition, the substance, the components in the appropriate combinations and proportions. And this often leads to us feeling like bottomless pits, like you're eating, you're consuming, you're taking in the volume, but you're still hungry. You're like, how have I eaten this whole bag of like whatever it is, or this whole box, and I'm still hungry. But something you'll notice is that you're hungry, like you keep eating, but it's like you're missing something that whatever it is that you're consuming is not going to be able to satiate. And that's because you're not receiving the nutrients that you need to help you to feel satiated. So comment below if you've ever had this happen where you're just eating and eating and eating, and you're like, okay, I know that I am feeling full on one level, but I'm still hungry on another level and cannot quite figure it out. Comment below if you've experienced that. And top reason number 3 is these junk foods are everywhere. It's so easy to find them. I'm referring to places like vending machines, also places that you wouldn't expect to find food. For example, in shopping malls or in stores that are specifically for the purpose of purchasing clothing. You can find them at the front counter before you check out, along with other knickknacks. This is why there's such common advice out there to make sure if you go grocery shopping, make sure you've eaten before, so you're not going to be further magnetized by these factors, but also to go around the perimeter of the grocery store because you're more likely to find the whole foods and the foods that are less packaged. And this is why it's also important to do your best to plan ahead and bring snacks with you that you've prepared, or bring your own meals, prepare as best as you can so that you're not experiencing a moment where you're like, I have nothing, I need to go purchase something. Now, life happens. There can be times when your schedule is busier than you had expected or had planned it to be, and maybe you might not have the time to plan as thoroughly as you would have hoped to. So I'm sure we all have been in those situations, and sometimes are still in those situations. So that's why it's helpful to be empowered to know, okay, in these situations, I will know that these are my options. I'm going to choose the more healthy options, or I'm going to know how to combine things so that I'm getting all the nutrients that I need in a manner that is complementary, so I'm not likely to be super hungry later or in a shorter period of time than would be expected, or craving something because I left something out. And I know I'm not alone in this, so please make sure to comment below if you've been in a situation where you went somewhere, you purchased the items that you needed to get and nothing more, but then you got to the front counter and they had all the treats, all the knickknacks, and sometimes they had like a deal, like 2 chocolate bars for say $5, whatever it may be. And you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna get it. I mean, it's just one time. And you got it. Comment below if that's happened to you. Thank you for tuning in to learn more about 3 key reasons that junk food is so addictive. As a reminder, number 1 is that they are designed to be that way. It was intentional. Number 2, it's because they're not satiating, they're not nourishing you. And number 3, they're everywhere. So if you are interested in learning more about overcoming junk food, fast food, processed food dependency or addiction, feel free to check out the link in the description, which will tell you more about my online course that supports you in this manner. And feel free to comment below if there's anything you have questions on or anything you want to learn more about. And remember to subscribe. Stay alert and see you in the next video.